Hey everybody, welcome back. This is episode 4 of the 2018 season of Breaking Down Security. I am Brian Brake, and as always with me is Ms. Berlin and Mr. Betcher.
What up?
Yeah. So I'm kind of jazzed. This week we had Bsides Seattle up here. A lot of great people from the BreakSec Slack channel showed up, and we had I know. We had Beta Wolf.
Like in person?
Yeah, like in meet space. What is that? Meet space is what they say, right? Yeah.
Meet space, yeah. IRL.
Yeah.
That's what the cool kids say.
Yeah, cool kids. Yeah. So Beta Wolf, of course, he's not going to hear this until he gets done listening and getting caught up. I think he showed me where he was recording, listening to the recordings, and it's in June of 2014. So
what? Holy crap!
He said he started over from the beginning. So he caught like all of 2017, but he hadn't caught the other 2 seasons. So he's.
I guess that's a plus since we're a podcast, it doesn't really always just cover news,
right?
Like if you wanted to start from another podcast that just does news of the day stuff, that would be really boring to go back to 2014, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So you can still hear Mr. Betcher's dulcet tones over a 3-year period. So
yeah.
So really great discussions. We had Rebecca Brown, PDX Bex, she moved from Portland up here to Seattle, so she was giving the closing keynote, which was fantastic. Jessica Payne and Gerald Steer, Darkpaw on Twitter. They did like a tandem talk about the red teaming you're not doing. So they were talking about how if you're always doing the same thing every time and using the same playbooks, and they gave us several scenarios like, oh yeah, they sent a fish and they were doing this and they were bouncing around inside the servers and then they got a SQL injection. And they're like, if you're doing the same thing every time, you're not really helping your organization get better. You're just doing the same stuff over and over again. You should, try to work and make your attacks a little different, make them a little unique, that kind of thing. So that was
okay. So if a red teamer does the same thing, or a pen tester over and over to the same organization, then it's the organization's fault. All right, for allowing them to do the same thing over and over. They should have learned something the first time and adjusted their defenses or whatever to mitigate that threat.
I agree. I agree in that in a lot of that respect. The red team should be more helpful with regards to helping to secure that environment by, helping, submit solutions. And, a lot of red teams, especially if they work for that company, are going to be expected to kind of change up their attacks each time, that, at least in my opinion. I could be wrong.
So, well, yeah, if you set up an Oracle database and you leave the user and pass as Scott Tiger, and then you're like, oh well, we need to change that, so let's change the password, but then you've got a second Oracle database with the same password, and you don't change the policy for all of your tools, right?
Right.
Just an example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet Ms. Berlin gets that a lot from her MSSPs. Do you ever have them reach out and go, our red team found this, why are, it's still broke? Or
yes. One of my favorite things to do is whether it's, an internal, whether it's one of our services that we're selling to another company that, for our red team stuff. So either working with our red teamers or working, just like with anybody that has done that kind of an assessment with one of our customers, or like internal people that they have or whatever, looking at reports, like past reports, current reports, whatever. I think that's one of my favorite things to do is like try and figure out what's lacking.
Yeah. It was very, very good discussions. I actually saw, Lee Fisher's talk on evil mate attacks. He's very deep into the -3 ring on systems. I mean, he is very well versed with how firmware works and how you can hack firmware and do naughty bits in the Intel AMT side. And I have been trying to get him come on the show. We did a short interview with him and Paul, his business associate at Source Seattle. That's back in 2017. You can go find that. So we're gonna hopefully have him and or at least Lee on to discuss his latest white paper. So that's going to be coming up in the near future. But he told me that was coming and that will happen. So I didn't get to do the hacking thing, but here I'm showing the badge for Bsides Seattle. It's a badge with solder stuff on it. So you gotta get all the pieces and solder it on. They had a hardware hacking village, which was fairly nice. I just didn't take the time to want to burn my fingers off, and they had ventilation, so I couldn't very well inhale the fumes from the solder. So I'm really looking forward to soldering up my badge and making the lights blink and everything. So
nice.
Yeah. Since I have a soldering kit. It's over there in my tool chest things. I just have yet to actually do it. So yeah. So did anything interesting happen to you this week, Mr. Betcher, at work? We were talking about it beforehand, but I thought you might want to repeat it again. No.
Yeah.
That didn't happen at work. That was at home.
At work.
Yeah, you were talking about the WPAD stuff.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of WPAD scanning going on. I don't know if it's just a new thing or whatever, but yeah, or they just found us. Hey, let's scan for this. But yeah, a lot of that going on.
Well, why is WPAD such a big deal for y'all?
I don't know. People are just scanning for it.
Yeah,
a lot.
So WPAD in this case is the web proxy auto discovery stuff. That's very Windowsy like, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So according to Wikipedia, it's the method by which clients are used to locate the URL of a configuration file using DHCP or DNS discovery methods. Once detection and download of the configuration file is complete, it can be used to determine the proxy for a specified URL. So I guess if you're, I don't know how you would use that. I've never actually used it in our environment. Do you? You obviously don't use it in your environment, right?
No.
Yeah.
It's not going to work there unless, again, there's a misconfiguration, something like that. But
right. I do remember, and we talked about this earlier, like Rob Fuller, Mubix on Twitter. He created his, he's got some WPAD domains because I guess a system will go out and look for WPAD domains and connect to them. And by doing so, it will download a configuration file that you can use to do nefarious stuff on. So you can actually tell them where the URLs for specific things are and how to connect through to various places to access them. So that's why it's a problem,
I know I only have like 24 hours until my first day of training, but I feel like I could probably add like an attack and defense thing for WPAD in there really quick.
Really? Speaking of attack and defense classes, your class starts tomorrow, doesn't it?
It does. And like you guys talking about that, I'm like, I bet you I could work that in because we wouldn't cover that the first day anyways. Right. So I'm trying to think like.
Well, so what kind of, according to the attack matrix, because that's what you're using, right? What would that be? What would that be under? That would be under spoofing or repudiation or repudiation, right? Because you're faking a proxy service to add a configuration that is false to a box to make it communicate somewhere that it shouldn't, right? That's what I'm understanding.
I feel like that would kind of be a delivery, like at the delivery level of the kill chain.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say either delivery or exploitation. It would have to be at either of those.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Because that has to be active on your network to be proper,
right?
Yeah.
If you don't have any Windows boxes, it doesn't really matter. But
right.
Okay. Because it's an easier it's a registry setting that you can set. I know locally to turn it off.
Really?
Stands for web proxy auto discovery.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I got the Wikipedia link here. So let me add that. Okay. So the only other thing that we talked about a lot at Bsides Seattle, we had some LobbyCon. Actually, there was more LobbyCon this year than last year, I remember. Maybe it was because we still had 2 tracks. It was the Microsoft Commons. But there were several, the hardware hacking village and the lockpick village was going on was all quite busy. There was quite a few people in the lobby too. So, I mean, you still had to have a ticket because everybody was wanting you have to go through a choke point, which gets you in. But yeah, a lot of great people there to discuss. So if you didn't want to go to some of the talks, that was entirely possible. But Autosploit was one of the things that came up quite a few times. Not by me, obviously, but others had been talking about it.
Yeah.
And so it came out, I think, early last week, and I was looking at it, and I didn't understand why everybody was in such an uproar over it. Can anybody tell me why I should be wrong about that? Play devil's advocate if you can. I'm entirely okay with that. I'm kind of looking
any RCE you should be up in arms about.
Well, Autosploit it's further automating the, hacking process, right?
I'll tell you why.
Okay, please do so.
Rather
because I was kind of looking in your direction anyway.
Okay.
We can't tell you have glasses on.
Oh,
yes.
Sorry.
We can't tell what part of the screen you're looking at.
It's freaking bright.
Your eyes dilated or something?
Yeah, go ahead and explain why Autosploit is awful.
Well, okay. Rather than manually going through module after module after module in Metasploit, this just does it for you. And it has a mechanism by which you could just throw the kitchen sink at a host, right? Just to find anything. And it's in an automated fashion like that.
Okay, but this isn't the first time that we've seen these kinds of automation tools, is it? I mean,
it's not. It's not. But this one makes it really easy for anybody to just type a command or two and just wait and see what happens.
Right. And
it will pull. Isn't that the one that will pull information from Shodan, right?
It does that too.
You don't have to go and do any of the recon yourself to figure out which ones you want to try and auto exploit. It's just built in. Sure, you could have done all of it by yourself anyways.
It just lowers the bar for someone to hack.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
it lowers the bar for the person. Right.
Yeah.
The skill level.
Well, okay.
And time.
Yes. So an API access to Shodan's what, $50 US? So once you have API access, you're going to be able to query the API as much as you would like, which would give you
learn how to do that.
That's true. Okay, so
it's not that easy.
It's not that easy to query an API.
Well, you have to learn how to do it in Shodan to get any meaningful stuff out of it.
Okay.
Right. And to write the queries better. I mean, it would take, an 8-year-old can't do that.
Right. So I can't do that.
Most 8-year-olds can't do that.
I don't interact with APIs very often myself either. So.
Right. So I think it just makes it so much easier.
Right.
For the average Joe who could type some commands on a command line to be able to start, and I'm using air quotes, hacking things.
Yeah, and I read that. It was like, well, the script kiddies, it's now made it easier for the script kiddies to do whatever. I have 2 points to that. One, didn't the same people say the same thing when Metasploit was created or when MSF Venom was created? Because that made it easier to create payloads. That made it easier to encode and deploy payloads. Everybody said, oh no, the bar's been lowered. It makes script kiddies make it easier to use, to hack systems. Now all you've done, and I read this on Twitter, so I don't know if it's verifiable. You probably could verify by downloading the GitHub of Autosploit, but it's 495 lines of Python code. So
shouldn't you just be able to see it on GitHub?
Actually, you can. So it's out in a Docker as well. So I mean, there's different modules. So the other good point that was brought up during our discussions at Bsides was, this is probably not the first time anybody has ever scripted anything up that parses API output and sends it to Metasploit. This is just the first time that somebody has actively said, hey, look, I made a thing.
Yeah, and if you don't know Python, you could just get that container, right?
Sure.
And it's probably not even the first time somebody has said they've made a thing. It's just the first time it's like semi gone viral, I guess.
Right.
It is 433 lines of Python.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's not new. It's just another step in that direction.
Yeah.
We've gone from 14-year-old to 8-year-old now,
Right.
Yeah.
So the other question was, people were like, well, is it because of, who wrote it? Because apparently this is one of those people who's on Twitter who likes to see the world burn, for instance.
Yeah. Correct.
So, I mean, does that lend itself to the idea that it is bad? Because there are people that actually would tell you, and probably a small camp, but Metasploit is bad. But because somebody like HD Moore created it, it's not bad, quote unquote, because somebody reputable made it. So if Mr. Betcher, as reputable as he is, decided to make something that would completely own Windows boxes and put it out there on a GitHub, and you argue that, pen testers will be able to use this tool and blue teamers will be able to use this tool to detect, whether or not their system is vulnerable. Does that make it a bad tool because Mr. Betcher made it, or does that make it a bad tool because it was created in the first place?
It's not a bad tool because it's using existing vulnerabilities, right? Metasploit uses only known and patched vulnerabilities. Right. So, and there's this thing called HD Moore's Law, right? You have to get better. Right. You guys are familiar with HD Moore's Law?
I'm not.
I did not. I know Moore's Law.
I didn't know it was a thing.
I did not either.
So Moore's Law is like the density of chips doubles every 18 months.
18 months or yeah.
HD Moore's Law says that if you don't get better at defense at the same rate as Metasploit, then you're going to get owned. Right. And this is just a case in point, or this just highlights the fact that by having even less skilled adversaries be able to do Metasploit attacks, known vulnerability attacks, then you better get better at defense.
Right.
Otherwise, these script kiddies are just gonna even skitties, right, are gonna be able to attack you. Okay. Right. So get better at it.
Okay.
That's the only answer.
So
because somebody's going to come up with a GUI that you just click a button and say attack, right? You have to know Python, or you have to have a container, right? I don't know about you, but sometimes, I mean, there are tons of Python programs out there where you have to have these weird modules to install. So Python's not that easy to a lot of people.
Right.
It's like you're pulling your hair out trying to get this script to run because it needs some crazy module to load or dependency, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why if you go to the GitHub account, you can download the container, so you don't have to load all those or find all those modules, try and get them to load, try and get the thing to run.
Yep. So, okay, here's yet another thought. And I thought about this on the way home because we were talking about the Autosploit stuff and this actually comes back to a point you made earlier, Mr. Betcher, that we were talking about the red team stuff, and you said that's just a company's inability to get better at defense or what have you, that if the red team can continue to do the same thing over and over again, then the company is not getting better, and it's up to the company to get better and get smarter. If if the blue team, and this is something I'm sure Ms. Amanda can talk about being blue teamy, if the blue team is using Shodan and can look at their external footprint and notice that, hey, our external IP address range has a freaking VNC connection on it, or look, there's a 2003 box that's on the network that is accessible from 52.52.52.52. Does that not mean that by taking those things off and Shodan not being seen, or Shodan not seeing these things, makes Metasploit less useful? That's kind of a rhetorical question because the answer is obviously yes. But blue team should be using Shodan in this case as a tool to not, to help shore up their external endpoints, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
They should be if they know about it. I mean, how many companies that may have one security guy who's also the CISO, who's also the lead developer, right? Do they even know Shodan exists? Right. This is where a pen test would help. They could come in, they could say, well, all I did was run a Shodan query and I found all these things. Right. You better shore these up. And then he better say, or she, oh, there's this Shodan thing there. I better check Shodan against my stuff. Or you can run vulnerability scanners would probably do the same thing on your external devices.
Yeah.
And set that up. So if you didn't do that after being told you needed to do that, then it's not the pen tester's fault.
Right. Ms. Berlin, I'll let you have your 5 minutes here. Go ahead.
What now?
No, to put your thoughts out there. I mean, because I have an additional question that I thought we might bring up, because Mr. Betcher asked that or made that comment. But, what do you think about Shodan? Do you suggest, when you worked at your other company, did you suggest your clients use these things?
I suggest it all the time. Like, no matter if it's like at the current place, the last place, whatever. Lee and I included it in the book.
Right.
Like, I think it's probably one of the most useful tools you can get for free that you could possibly ever use. Like, so we have this, a couple IDS alerts currently on customers that keep on tripping of this research, I use air quotes, research company that is overseas somewhere that's doing like selling Shodan-esque data to companies as a service.
Ah, okay.
But they're being very aggressive, and I was trying to explain the difference between that kind of scanning. They're like actually trying SQL injection, and they're tripping IDS alerts, whereas Shodan doesn't really normally. They just like, oh, this port's open, let's do a screen grab of this, let's do whatever. And I looked at like the amount of queries across all customers, either coming from Shodan IP or coming from this other shitty Ninja place, and Shodan is like banging away compared to this other place. And you're just getting so much more information for this, the other company just wants to charge you for it.
Right.
It's a great service. I don't know. And you can not just find stuff on your company, but find other cool things.
So I would argue that if a blue team could use Shodan, they would probably have a leg up on things like Autosploit. So I don't think that Autosploit is going to help or hurt the industry. I think it may reduce the amount of time that a person has, instead of an hour to, enumerate and access systems on somebody's external endpoints, it probably knocks it down to 15 to 20 minutes. We've seen a lot of things like that in the industry. Password cracking. It used to take a long time to do password cracking or hash mashing or whatever the hell we want to call it, due to GPU technologies, Hashcat, OCL. I mean, so the technology that it is going to reduce the amount of time to do these tedious things, password cracking and all that, unless you're adding PBKDF2 or something like that adds, additional time. There's always going to be technology that moves that goalpost or moves the for lack of a better metaphor, the goal line a lot closer to where you were at if you're an attacker. There's even competitions out there now that are taking artificial intelligence and scripted kind of attack, systems and fighting them against one another to, infect one another. So, I mean, the automated tools are only going to get more automated. The tools are only going to get simpler to use, whether it be 430 something odd, lines of Python. So, I mean, I think it's just, maybe it's the person and maybe it was just the time of day or, time of the week or whatever that it came out that this is such a big issue. But I think that I don't see any big deal with this. And I actually probably would try using it just to see, what it gains me versus, I don't know how customizable it is. So I would assume that you can customize it, but it could be a quick and dirty thing. If you've got, if you're trying to scan a /23 on the, external side, this could be something that could actually help you out in the long run, I'd imagine. So,
yeah, I don't think it's going to hurt to run it against yourself.
Yeah, I don't.
And even if it does, then you'll know.
Sorry, boss. I got a couple shells on our box, on our, Windows NT box. Yeah. So, but yeah, I just find it quite interesting that, people were worried about this one so much. I mean, I get Mr. Betcher's point, most definitely, that it will lower the bar for folks who've never used Metasploit or never used Shodan, and that's very, very applicable. But yeah, if blue teams were doing, the necessary stuff, the fundamentals.
Their jobs.
Wow, shots fired. Actually, you're not alone. I believe it was Miss Payne, Miss Jessica Payne, that said much the same thing. It's like nobody wants to do the fundamentals. They are not, in fact, fun, but no. They would solve a lot of problems. So you're right. Yeah. So, I want to kind of keep. Management? Go ahead.
Like asset management.
Asset management, yeah. One of the other things I got into a conversation with was, how the SANs are not SANs. It's not SANs anymore. It's the CIS top 20, but how those are not really applicable in real environments. Even with the
what.
So in a real world, if you're already coming into an environment, you're not going to be able to start at square one and go, oh, well, we need to do asset management, whatever, when there's 85 other things that are going to be considered more important by management. So one of the things that I thought about doing a future show on was like the real like top 5 or top 10, not quick wins, but like things that actually do good, and I would actually start with a pen test. If you're required to do a pen test,
not even a pen test, just a vulnerability scan, especially if they don't have one.
That is true. So buy a vulnerability scanner.
Pen test.
Yeah.
But you don't even need to buy a vulnerability scanner. Just do you can do a couple hundred IPs for free.
Right.
Just to get an idea of where you're at.
That makes sense.
And patching. Patching is usually a quick win.
Yeah.
Albeit very painful, especially if you have change management.
Well, I think those are not just quick wins, but things that really make sense in an environment if you're not doing those or they're not being done correctly. So vulnerability management, or, if you, I find that bringing in third-party pen testers a very good way to create change in an environment. If you're stagnant and stuck, might help, right. In that respect, or something like Shodan, for instance, as well. So Shodan could be a changer for you in your environment if it's stagnant. So, let me see. Let me go look at what we've got in here. Tools. Some tools have no good use. I mentioned, LOIC, LOIC, low orbit ion cannon, was something that was created to help create, make DDoSes, so people would knowingly download and install this to help, DDoS things. So that's what I thought was fun. So, Flash O-Day, did anybody get hit by that?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, what's that?
I'm not in South Korea, so
I don't think you had to be in South Korea. I actually did meet somebody who said that they had their IR team got lit off and said that they got hit by this. Somebody sent an email and there was an Excel spreadsheet in the email and they clicked on it. Don't know if they're in, what kind of security they had involved, but yeah, this definitely was a real thing. The funny thing was I actually read the South Korean CERT website and they were suggesting just uninstall Flash. She's like, oh, you don't need Flash, uninstall it, which might be true. But go ahead.
I mean, I'm totally not against uninstalling it everywhere there isn't a business use case.
That is true. Java too, I would say as well.
Oh yeah, and anything Adobe.
Yeah. Anything Adobe, their PDF reader is very fine. I find it very nice. It's about 1.5 gigs.
You can also open up PDFs in Chrome.
Oh,
sandboxed.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just drag and drop into Chrome.
Yep. Yeah.
You can make Chrome the default PDF reader.
Really? I didn't know that. Does that make it any safer though?
Well, Chrome is technically a sandbox, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Was there anything either of you wanted to talk about? I do have something, but I've had a headache all day, to be honest, and I would like to cut this short if I can, because the light from the monitor is killing me, because I can't put my sunglasses on because people won't notice, which direction I'm looking.
I think our listeners agree.
Brian, we can't tell where you're looking anyways.
Okay.
We're on the street. We're not in your office.
Oh, that's okay. That's cool. I'm just going to put my sunglasses back on then. So, yeah. So, well, all right. Let's go ahead and end it here. I mean, I think we all had some very good points about, red teaming and blue teaming. And, Ms. Berlin, she has a class that's starting on the 5th of February, which is tomorrow.
I'm so excited.
I know. We've got quite a few people in the class.
Like I have a friend of mine that wants to teach it with me in person and try and turn it into an 8-hour class.
Really?
So that just means we have to I already came up with my 4 hours. It just means he has to come up with 4 more.
It's not
that WPAD over the fence.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean that'll add 20 minutes, but
okay,
maybe half hour. I don't know.
Yeah, so you've got 4 sessions, right? 4 1-hour sessions, or can you make 5 out of it?
Yes. I don't know. We'll
see
how this goes first.
Okay.
Because I've only ever done it as a 3.
Right.
And this is the first time I'm doing 4.
Okay.
So this might turn into 5 hours. They'll just get an extra hour for free. I don't know. We'll see.
On. Okay. Yeah. It starts tomorrow, Monday, 5th of February. It's in the evening time. It's on our Zoom. So if you are listening to this and you're a little late, don't worry. We're going to record it. So you can still sign up for the class and we'll just send you the video and you'll be able to catch up.
And they can sign up until we start tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we also have early access. We have early video access, so if you can't attend the courses, then you can also do that. If you just want to pay $50 US, you get early access to the videos. Otherwise, those will go out for free to World Plus Dog in April sometime, probably 1st or 2nd week of April. So, links in the show notes, PayPal. So, Mr. Betcher, Who do you have coming up this month for the Breaking Down Incident Response podcast, which I've heard is really good?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of positive feedback from it, especially at Bsides. They're like, "Oh, I'm so glad to see there's going to be an incident response podcast." And I'm not just saying that to make you feel good. People actually did say that.
I've heard positive things. Also, we're going to try and fix the audio. So. It was apparently a little low.
Really?
So we need to write down whatever procedure you have. I thought we got it, but apparently not. So maybe we skipped a step.
Well,
other than that, it's been positive. Yeah.
I just have a volume indicator here. It goes up to 11. And no, I'm just kidding. So yeah. I can give Mr. Goff and we can modify the sound accordingly. So yeah. So yeah, that's great. It's in iTunes. It's in the Google Play Store if you want to listen to it. There's also a link in the show notes to the RSS feed. So all of that is available now. So I think we're just waiting for it to be long enough, in iTunes or Google Play Store to submit to Spotify, but it'll be there eventually too. So, all right, Mr. Betcher, are you speaking anywhere? You giving any trainings or anything on LogMD? Is Mr. Goff doing that?
I got nothing lined up.
Okay. Anybody wants to sign up for some LogMD training, then Mr. Betcher is available for that. So there you go. All right. Well, I think we probably should end it here because I need to go take some more ibuprofen and see if the New York Brady's are beating the Eagles in the big game. I can't say the other words because I can't say the actual words because apparently the NFL will hang your ass for using those terms. So you have to say the big game. So
you can't say super bowel.
I have soup owls. Yeah, soup owls. Yeah. Yeah.
You have soup bowels?
Soup bowels. That's it.
Super balls.
Super balls. Yeah, that's it. So, yeah. All right. Let's get done. Ms. Berlin, how would people get a hold of you if they wanted to?
In Slack or Twitter at InfoSyster, INFOSYSTIR.
Right on. Mr. Betcher, how about you?
At BetcherPwned on Twitter, BOETTCHER PWNED.
Yeah, and he's never on Slack, so it doesn't matter. So that's a going joke, but all you need to do is snooze the channels you don't want to see, sir. And, just, keep a couple channels on. So there you go. He just flipped me off. No, wait. No, he didn't. So you can follow the show on Twitter at Breaksec, BRAKESEC. I'm on Twitter, Brian Break. You can just hunt me up. And we're on iTunes, Google Play Store. If you like the show, please leave some feedback on iTunes. We're on Spotify as well, so you can hunt us down there. Thank you to our Patreon donators. We appreciate your help. Yeah, we appreciate your help getting us, money for not sponsors, but hosting, and you're our sponsors basically. So yeah, web hosting, Zoom access, that kind of stuff. So, and thank you to our many Slackers. You can definitely, if you want to join our Slack, it's invite only. You can DM us on Twitter at Breaksec, or you can send us an email at bds.podcast@gmail.com. So, that was it. I am looking forward to vacation in a couple of weeks. Anybody else taking vacation for President's Day week?
I'm trying to find something to do on spring break because I don't have my kids.
Yeah. Up here in Seattle, we have a midwinter break, and then we have a spring break. And midwinter breaks in February, and then spring breaks in 6 weeks later in April. So, yeah.
Oh.
We go till June though, so that's always the way.
Oh
so.
Yeah, not here.
Yeah,
we have farmers and stuff.
That's probably true case. Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's why we have our school the way we do, because we have to be off in time for farm season.
Okay, right on.
Yep.
All right. Well, on that note, I guess we will be done with episode 4 of Breaking Down Security. Have a great week, everybody. Please stay safe, be nice to one another, and we will talk to you again soon.
Bye.